So on the windiest day ever at Roebling, we are doing something really awesome. So the Bike Experience USA is a bunch of guys that get injured riders back onto bikes. So some of these are personal bikes, some of these are organization bikes, but all of them are adapted. As you can see, they are a bunch of riders who may need some special accommodation for riding. So it's really windy, and I will probably just lose the audio, and you can hear that now, but we will try to do an actual interview tomorrow. All right, so talk us through what it takes to make a bike adapted.
This bike's been adapted for somebody with a spinal cord injury.
Okay.
Basically, since they can't use their foot to shift, we use an electronic shifter. We call it an electric foot. This is the piston that shifts, and it's actuated by buttons on your left thumb on the handlebars. We then add a rear thumb brake. All right, to meet tech. And then in some of our programs, especially our day-to-day programs we use, we just keep the toes in place with old bicycle pegs and some Velcro on the bottom of the boot. And then if we come to the other side, we're working more with using magnets. We have recessed magnets in this foot peg. We put the other magnets in the boot, and that system works really well. And then just to keep the legs up on the bike and keep the legs from splaying out, we use an abdominal binder. The rider sits on the binder, wrap the binder around their legs, up in the wind, over the top. That binds their legs on top of the bike, so they're no way attached to this bike in any way when they're on the track.
So if they come off...
So if they come off the bike like anybody else. There's nothing on the bike.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all it takes. It doesn't take much. We launch them and catch them. When they're getting ready to leave, we get them up on the stand. We have some person steady the front of the bike. Somebody takes off the rear of the bike when they're ready to go. They just ride away.
Down.
Go.
As they come back in, we have a catcher come in, stand there and wait for them, and catch them as they come in.
So there's a variety of ways that these bikes can be set up. Dave's bike, for example, is using basically bicycle clip pedals, and then he's got the mating part in the boot, so he clips in, and they're designed to release quickly. He's also got a pingle shifter with buttons on the front and back, so I guess pull index finger to upshift and push thumb to downshift. And the first gen has a little bit of a different setup. It actually has a translogic shifter instead of a pingle, and still thumb brake, and it has the buttons up and down on the thumb, which is actually a little awkward for me because they're close together and then I don't feel like I'm holding the bar. The other thing that it has that's pretty awesome is a custom shaped seat to help keep Tony in place, because remember, these guys don't have anything holding them to the bike, so any side support or whatever that can keep him from sliding off the seat is going to help him a lot. Nice. Aside from like the racing side, what else are you doing?
So our main focus of the bike experience is to get people with disabilities up riding again, no matter what the disability. We've dealt with amputees, stroke victims, brachial plexus injuries. So depending on the need, we adapt whatever bikes. We start everybody on our 850 Manas. They're Aprilia, twist and goes, but they're 850s, they're big bikes. We do that to take the clutch out of the situation, to kind of keep some brain space open the first time people get back on the bike, to worry about just riding the bike. Then once they're comfortable on that, we move them up to one of our DRZ 400 Supermotos, and that's set up with this setup with a thumb shifter. And then from there, we have this SV, we have another SV that we use at track and also at our training events. So that's the ultimate goal, is to get people back up on a bike like this and get them to the track if they want.
So start them on an airfield just to
build the confidence back, to show them that's possible. What we find is a lot of people, specifically spinal cord injuries, they're worried about their core strength and not be able to stay on the bike with the core strength. And we have some riders that their injuries very high, and they're totally fine on the bike. As a matter of fact, one of our guys is very, very fast. But a lot of people, they're skeptical, they're not sure. So our original training is to show people they can get back on a bike. The ultimate goal, of course, is to get people back out riding with their friends. Some bikes have landing gear. We're working on that. Our secretary, our vice president, they have landing gear on their bikes they ride on the road. So they have actual system as they slow down, the little gear comes down like the training wheels, and when they go back, they start. They take off again, the wheels come back up.
So for some of the other guys, I remember you mentioning something about like alternate controls. So like if they can't use their right arm.
Right. So we've had people with a brachial plexus injury, a paralyzed right arm, or a right arm amputee. We've been able to shift the throttle on one of the Aprilias to the left side, make that a left-hand automatic bike to start with, and then we've had a gentleman with a GSXR 750 who, once he learned on the Aprilia, we adapted the bike with a left-hand brake, throttle, and clutch setup, and he's able to ride that all with one arm. So where there's a will, there's apparently a way. We've been able to help most people with adaptations. Certainly some are more challenging than others, but we always like to find out what the issue is and see if we can't get somebody back up riding. Our focus is two wheels. We get asked all the time, why don't you put them on on a Spider or something like that? Two wheels is different than three wheels. People want to ride two wheels, and that's what we want. And it's very simple to do, especially people with spinal cord injuries. We find that we deal with a lot of spinal cord injuries, and the hardest part about that is just getting them on the bike. Once we get them on the bike, and that's just a physical act of picking them up and putting them on the bike. Other than that, well, once they get the feel that once that bike's going 5 miles an hour and you've got the two big wheels rolling, two big gyroscopes, it's perfectly balanced and good.
And this is mostly for guys that have ridden before. They're just questioning if they can get back on.
Exactly. We had started originally with some people that had never ridden before, but it's hard on equipment, it's hard on morale to take somebody who's never ridden a motorcycle and put them on a big bike like that. Until we build an Outrigger bike like we had when we worked with the Bike Experience over in England, the original Bike Experience. There's a bike with outriggers we can pin up and down, and that way if they do fall over, they're not hitting the ground, and we can teach them. Right now, it's if you don't have any riding experience, it's just too hard to teach somebody who's never ridden before. We hope to get to the point where we have.
Right, because you got to teach them all the bike stuff, and also how to function around their body, right?
Yeah, our last rider that had never ridden before had spinal bifida, and he had never ridden a bicycle before, and he was a big guy, and he came out and rode us, and he had a good day, but we had to teach him to ride a bike, and he'd never been on a bicycle, so it wasn't, we had a fall over because he stopped short, and we just learned that we want people to have some experience so they know what they're getting into. It's not what they know what to get into, so they can get that feeling again. Muscle memory, whether you have the, you use the same muscles or not, there's a feeling that you get back on a bike, and once you get that back, these guys take off and run with it.
Cool. So what about the racing team? What's the plan for that?
So about 18 months ago, a bunch of us got together. We went to a show in Atlanta, and they talked about doing a track day. And we hooked up with John Cook, a track day winner, and he had us out to NCM in Kentucky for a track day. We took 5 guys with spinal cord injuries, had a wonderful weekend. From there, we got a lot of response, a lot of positive response. The guys that were riding started talking about getting together more. And then N2 had a relay series last year where you could enter a relay team and everybody could ride their own bikes. So we thought, heck, these guys have their own adapted bikes. Let's join a relay race. So we did that. We went out to Pittsburgh. We had 2 disabled riders, spinal cord injuries, 1 able-bodied rider. We started 42nd in a 4-hour race and came in 22nd. So against all able-bodied teams, and it kind of went forward from there. This year we've built an endurance bike, or N2, and 4 dudes on a twin have built us an endurance bike. And we're going to put our riders on the bike. We'll be swapping riders on the bike. We're going to run the Wira series, 5 race rounds starting in June. And hopefully just to bring more attention to the fact that this is, not only is this possible, but our guys are competitive. And it's a very, very simple way to bring about, more recognition to what we're doing, and the fact that, really, a lot of people think when they're injured that their motorcycling days are over, and this is really not the case. It's actually,
if you want it, you will make it happen somehow, right?
We make it happen. And so the racing has really just helped promote our cause. What we really want to do is be traveling the country and putting on programs. We started that way. Right now we're doing most of our programs in Philadelphia for our everyday programs because it's just too expensive to travel. Our racing endeavor, we've gotten some sponsorship. Scorpion helmets, Exo's got on board. N2 obviously is on board. EBC is a huge sponsor of ours. It's been great, and we hope to get more recognition. We hope to do more programs. Eventually, we'd like to get tied up with the VA, where we can go to the different VA hospitals and help people, help our veterans. And to be honest, it's not only the guys that have physical disabilities, the guys and the women that have physical disabilities. We deal with a lot of people that have mental challenges, PTSD, or they've been through some type of rehab, they're first responders. And even though they might have physical disability, as they come out to volunteer, it's very, it's very cathartic for everybody involved to come out, help the riders. You take a community of people that have never dealt with somebody with a disability, and you put them in a trailer and you help somebody with a spinal cord injury get in a one-piece leather suit. It breaks down a ton of barriers. Like, they have to get intimate with the person. They have to, we see a lot of people that walk by that are looking, they're curious what's going on, and they don't really know. And this is a way for people to come in and get involved.
Well, there's the whole story with volunteering, helping others also benefits, has psychological benefits for the helper, right?
Without a doubt. That's why, there's a couple of rehabs in the area that we like to reach out to see if they have people that want to help. It's a good day for everybody. There's nothing but smiles, whether it's a racetrack event or whether it's our normal event. Everybody there, we have all our volunteers always come back because, again, it becomes a family. It becomes, a group of people wanting to help everybody. And then the more people that are involved in the disabled community, the bigger the more the word gets out, and the more that helps us get more people to our events.
All right. So where do we go for more info?
We have a website, the Bike Experience USA.
tbexusa.org.
tbexusa.org. Yep. We have a Facebook page. I'm not the best at updating that stuff, but that's where you can find out what events we've got coming up. If you want to reach out to us, you want to volunteer. Right now, again, all our events are happening in Philadelphia. We're encouraging riders from different parts of the country, if they want to come out, if you can do a fundraiser, arrange transportation to get to us, we'll pick you up at the airport and get you out to our events.
So there's other ways people can help too. They can donate as well.
Absolutely. As a typical, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. All of our money goes back into equipment and travel. We haven't been able to travel much because obviously it's expensive.
And gas has gone insane.
We started going to the racetrack originally. I started going to the racetrack to help to find equipment, and what better place than racers.
Yeah.
So most of my equipment, leathers, helmets, gloves, have come from donations from racers, their old equipment, and then of course with the
and a whole SV.
And a whole SV. Yes, we've been donated a few motorcycles, which have come in. Like, the generosity of people has been mind blowing to me. And every time we come to an event, we get more people that want to help. It's really, again, we envision at some point, days where it's very common to see people on track, on the road, with different disabilities. Again, because once this bike is going 5-10 miles an hour, it's balanced, it's fine. It's that 5 to 10, 10 to 5, but somebody who can't put their feet down, that's a problem.
Well, I mean, that's actually difficult for new riders even if they're fully able. Right. Because what do people crash the most? Slow turns.
Right. Some of our riders that are, especially the spinal cord guys, I mean, they've gotten good enough. There's a guy up in New York State. They can actually come in, ride right up to the tailgate of their truck and just lean on it, and somebody can put the stand on it. They're pretty self-sufficient. Dave here yesterday, we had a red flag out there, and he just pulled his bike up against a pit wall and leaned it against the wall. When these guys get comfortable on the bike, it's amazing how nimble they are, and how simple it is for us. To be honest with you, sometimes we forget that we have to catch them when they come in because we just get so comfortable with them being on track. And at our normal everyday events, it's the same thing. By lunchtime, everybody's out there ripping around our course, and we happen to forget sometimes that we have to catch them when they come in.
Oh, they're so good, they don't need us anymore.
We forget, and a lot of times we have some video, especially when we're working on this over in England. We have a video of a parade of riders and able-bodied people and disabled riders, and you can't tell who's who.
Well, that's perfect. That's the goal, right?
That's the idea.
All right, let's stop talking and actually show how some of this works, right?
Okay.
So here I'm chasing Mark. He's on the white and green Ninja 650, and I'm actually riding one of the adapted bikes with the thumb shifter and the platform pegs. I don't have magnets in my boots, so I'm kind of just keeping my feet planted to it. The shifter is actually a little, I have zero muscle memory for it, so it actually eats up quite a bit of brain power to get used to doing the thumb thing. It's almost like when you get in a car with the steering wheel paddles for upshift and downshift for the first time. It takes you a little too much brain for what it is to use it, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes completely intuitive. So Mark's boogieing along pretty well. This is an intermediate group, so hopefully no inside passes, no dive bombs. And there are actually sections where he's quicker than me, and I'm not sure if that's the bike or if that's me struggling with the shifter. I'm gonna use me struggling with the shifter as an excuse, but yeah. So these guys are awesome at bike control. The thing they're working on learning is how to work around with what they've got available. So if you think about what's available, these riders only have the throttle, brakes, and steering inputs. They can't cheat with body English. They can't stand up the bike more or less with anything except steering. So they have to be that much better at throttle control, that much better at trail braking, that much better at counter steering, stuff like that. The other thing that's interesting is for the guys that don't have control over their core, they basically have to hold themselves to the bike upright on their arms. Like Dave has to hold himself up, so he's putting a lot of weight on the bars. So that's not something that's recommended, but he doesn't have an option because otherwise, how can he hold himself to the bike? So it's very interesting to think about. Like, just it is the most basic form of riding, and they're really quick about it. Because what does every track day coach tell you? Hang off the bike more, hang off the bike more, hang off the bike more. Well, that's not available, so let's work with what we've got. And I would pretty much bet that a good half of track day riders are actually slower than these guys, which is awesome. I really like that. I really like that. Obviously, the other thing that is really interesting with these bikes is because they're basically static on the bike. Like, they're not really moving forward and back. They're not moving side to side. The suspension setup should actually be a little simpler than for somebody who's doing yoga. And there's a control rider coming by us, giving us a thumbs up. The really cool thing about coming out to with the bike experience guys is you literally have mobs of people come up all day saying that's really cool. Everybody's really excited. Everybody's super hyped for them. So that's a really fun experience. If you're wondering why that's all the on-track footage I got, that's because my friend Robbie over there. Lend a pro your bike. It'll be great. He'll tell you everything that's wrong with it. Well, you know what's wrong with it? It crashes. What an awful bike. Can't stay upright. But yeah, so
it doesn't work too good. It doesn't work that good.
Yeah,
I
no,
only made it like 5 laps.
it's
too.
not a good bike at all. I mean, like, if a pro can't keep it upright, why am I even bothering? But yeah, anyway, so check out tbexusa.org. Maybe consider donating or consider coming out to help these guys out. And you know, I hope you guys learned something interesting about wild ass SVs and the wild ass people that ride them.